Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 8 of Unserious University. Thank you for being here. Happy Tuesday. Hope your week started off pretty solid. If it's been rough, hope your weekend's pretty solid. I would like everyone to give a warm welcome to our very special guest today, Chloe, or her nickname that us boys call her, which is Chloe Lynette Martinez. She is a fantastic friend of mine. I've known her for many years now, and she is a great yapping partner. We sit down and we have a blast, to be quite frank. A huge reason I wanted her on is because she is an emergency room nurse. She is in the trenches. She's in the thick of it. And you always hear about a friend who has a job like that, and you're like, dude, I gotta know what it's like. I gotta sit you down and just ask a million questions. And this is the perfect excuse for me to do that. So we have a great time. But I will say, I don't know, about a third of the episode is still us just yapping, hanging out, talking about whatever the hell. There's not a forced structure. I don't want my friends, because that's what it is. I bring my friends on so that we can hang out and have good conversation. I don't want them to feel interviewed. I don't want them to sit down and feel like I'm grilling them, even though the beginning of this episode is a little bit of that. But yeah, it was a great time. I sifted through it. There's a bunch of laughs. We dive into a multitude of topics that I think even with my own criticisms of myself in this project, I think it's good. So I think you guys will think it's good too. That being said, without further ado, I won't drag it on any longer. This is episode 8 with Chloe. Hope you guys enjoy. Have a great week, and I'll catch you here again next time. Later.
Is correct. Okay. So I'll tell you, like, when you speak into it, you want to speak with like basically a fist's distance and like kind of at it, but you don't have to be like married to it like that. Like, if you want to talk away a little bit, it's totally fine.
I think my problem is I talk that way. Can I talk to the side of it?
Yeah.
Okay,
totally
perfect.
Fine. So I'll have you introduce yourself at some point, but I do have a question that I kind of want to like just start off on, and then we can even decide if you even want it in there. But why do you think people hate you?
People are gonna be like, "Why do you think she thinks?" Right, sir.
Because I'll speak from my perspective that
Okay.
you're like easily one of the most likable people that I've met. You are very like just happy and nice all the time, and that's like that's all you need for people to like you. So, but you made the comment earlier before we started recording. You were like, what if people hate me? And I'm like, there's no way. But I'm gonna stop interrupting you and just ask, why do you think people hate you or would hate you?
I don't know. I have it like ingrained in me, kind of like at baseline. I feel like everyone hates me until they prove that they don't.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird, but I mean, I'm sure it's just my own insecurity, somewhat, and then I don't know.
I just like, I don't know. It's very surprising to hear, because I think you're one of the like easiest people to like that I know. So to hear that is like, I don't know. I think that people start on like a baseline of a very volatile opinion of someone. Like it could first impressions can make it so they love you or they don't like you or whatnot. But I think over time that evens out, even over the course of like a conversation, right? Like someone's going to listen to this and I can't even think of you saying anything offensive or rude. But even if you made a joke that rubbed someone the wrong way, like by the end of the entire thing, they'd be like, this isn't a bad person, you know, because it's most normal people.
Maybe I don't hate her.
Yeah. It's not even I like her. It's maybe I don't hate her.
Yeah. I don't know why. I've always been like that kind of. I've noticed it more, I think, in my adult years, like catching myself having that idea of myself, because like starting college a few times, it was like hard for me to make friends almost, because Not because of my personality or anything. Like, if I talk to someone, I can be their friend. But it's almost like I feel like I'm bothering them. And when they invite me outside of school or outside of work or whatever, I'm like, you're just doing that to be nice. You don't actually want me to be there. I don't know. It's weird.
You sound like the meanest inner monologue.
I do.
Directed at yourself.
I mean, I think we're all our worst critic, but I've always been very hard on myself.
Do you treat people the same way you treat yourself?
I hope not.
when you encounter other people, do you like have harsh opinions very early, or are you usually pretty forgiving?
No, I don't feel like I'm judging
at all.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Like ever. But I feel like and it almost comes off, I think about it too much, where I think I'm being rude because I'm being shy or quiet or thinking they hate me. So then I'm overthinking it again because I'm like, oh, now they really hate me.
Oh my God, you're deep.
Yeah. It's like 10 loops of layers of I think they hate me. And then someday after like the 4th meeting, they're like, I really like you. You're really cool. And I'm like, wow.
You have no idea how much that means to me.
Yeah.
Have you encountered people that hated you?
No. I mean, I'm sure I have, but not like they don't tell me blatantly.
Right.
Like.
So they're just secret haters.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Oh my God.
But it's weird because I'm like also confident in myself.
Right. Which is incredible because I feel like most people wouldn't be able to pull that off.
I don't know. I'm like the most insecure, confident person there ever was, I guess.
What do you think? What do you think it means to be confident? Like, what do you think that roots?
I think it's just being like comfortable in who you are. I think like just over time, like as a kid, you just have no idea who you are, what you want to be, what you think is cool. I was very like I would fall under peer pressure or like anything like my cool friend liked. I was like, ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
So now I think I'm confident in like, no, I actually really am comfortable in my own style and my own
skin.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'm not that comfortable in my skin, but I'm getting there.
Right.
I think I'm probably the most comfortable in my skin at this age than I ever have been in my life, which is a good feeling.
Yes.
Really.
Absolutely. I don't know. I agree. I mean, it's learning that most of the things that you beat yourself up for are shared experiences by most of the people that are around you, and then giving yourself the same amount of like breathing room or forgiveness that you would give your best friend, because like if you put yourself in that perspective of like, you know, how would I feel if my best friend had this quality? I'd be like, oh, I wouldn't judge them at all for it. But as soon as you have that quality, it's like you're your own like military instructor screaming at your face.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like I'm like more hard on myself with like social situations, I think, than I ever need to be. I always feel like I'm awkward, which is weird. I don't know if I am or not.
I can confidently say you're not.
I don't know why.
I think
my inner person is like, you suck at this.
I think I don't know. I might be giving a oversimplified, like dumbed down answer to this, but a general rule of thumb that I have found extremely useful has been things are only weird if you make them weird. Like a lot of the times,
but I feel like I do sometimes.
Well, that's the thing. It's like sometimes you gotta kind of fake it a little bit, and it works. Where like I've thought about, you know, those moments where someone goes, "Oh, do you really like that thing?" Like they kind of question something that you have never found weird. You have a choice right there. You have to choose between confidence or shame. Are you going to like timidly with your tail between your legs be like, yeah, I didn't know it was weird to like that thing. Or you can go, yeah, what's the issue?
Yeah.
And so often I realize that person is waiting to see how you go about it to determine if they're going to think it's weird. It's not as much their own opinion. Like, obviously that is going to be the case. Like, if you do something really culturally weird, people are going to find it weird regardless. But even if you enter it with confidence, they're immediately disarmed, at least to a certain degree.
For sure.
And so that rule has provided like a lot of escape hatches for me socially, where if I do something and I'm like, oh fuck, I can feel like shame on like, my shoulder.
I geeked out a little too hard about that thing.
Yeah. And I have to remind myself that if I want my enjoyment of something or my passion about something or just my opinion on something to be not only acceptable but contagious, I need it to be paired up with some sort of confidence around it. And even if it's not in the moment right off the bat or like authentic, if I am still presenting it with some sort of confidence and then I watch that bounce off of them and they go, oh, cool. Then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. We're good.
Because if your liking of something or your opinion or whatever is just easily like broken down brick by brick because someone else thought it was weird or different or whatever, then it's just, and I feel like that's how I was as a kid, honestly. They were like, I remember like 5th grade, I was like, I love Justin Bieber, and the whole circle of girls was like, oh, you're really weird for that. And then like a year later,
circle of girls ever.
I know. Well, then a year later, everyone liked Justin Bieber, and I was like, well, that's rude.
Exactly. And if and now you can like kind of look back on that, and if you like presented it with like confidence, like, yeah, this is the next thing, right? And they'd be all the little bandwagoners, even though they were. Yeah. I think I think Dalton, your husband to be, for people who don't know, I think he is one of the most admirable people when it comes to having no shame about the things that he likes. Like I have purposefully tried to enact shame in that man, and nothing.
Me too.
I'll be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why do you like that? And he's like, I don't know.
I make fun of him daily for pretty much everything.
It's incredible. It is so incredible. And then at the same time, he loves making you feel.
I know. He will make fun of me the same way back, 100%. If not worse. 100%. But honestly, it is admirable. Like, he is very set in what he likes.
Yes.
He does not fall victim to peer pressure. Like, at all.
Budge.
Like, at all.
No.
It's weird to me. I'm like, that's weird.
Like, I remember when I first heard from Dylan about him starting to get into Pokemon cards. And I was like, I remember, like, I know the fact that the conversation would go something like this. You like Pokemon cards now? Yeah. I figured that would be something.
Just decided.
I figured that would be something that you would think was lame, probably. But you like them now? Yeah. Yep. That's how it goes.
No, literally.
It's airtight.
I think we were at Target. I don't know where it was. He literally, I watched it happen. He literally was just like, I like Pokemon cards now. Like, I think I'm gonna have Dylan talk to me about liking them, and I'm gonna get into it now. It's like,
it's insane. It's insane. And then for anyone who is a Pokemon card nerd, he then goes and pulls the shiny Bubble Mew, which is like incredibly rare and expensive. And then of course it's like the perfect entry to the world. Now he has this amazing card that he got.
It was like the first one, and so now he's like chasing that high.
Right.
Like today we were going to shop for his wedding attire, and we stopped in a store because it had Pokemon cards, and I'm like, this is my life now.
I will also say he is the luckiest person I've ever met in my life.
Oh my god, we just talked about this. We just talked about this today.
He buys, he gets a profit. Like, every time he could gamble for a living and make more money than anyone I know.
When we went to Vegas, I'm like losing money left and right. I think he won like $1,200 or like $1,500 on a slot machine.
Yes.
Not on a table, a slot machine.
I cannot remember. I'm gonna just start making up rumors and legends about him at this point.
Legends.
But I swear there probably was a time where I know he needed money and he probably just bought a scratcher
and just
was like, oh yeah, I mean these things are just free money.
This is my income.
I just need $50. It's luckiest person I've ever met.
He's so casual about it too.
Yes.
No, what was the other thing? Wait, is this legal? I'm sorry, babe, if I out you.
Let's find out.
It was like the football, like the sports.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know, sports betting is not. We're not supposed to do that, right?
I don't think it's gonna be an issue.
Okay. Well, police don't listen.
He wasn't using real money.
He used Monopoly money. Okay. But he won on there like a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, like,
and then he's like, "Can I use your bank account? My bank account doesn't work." So they had to send me the money. Then he had to prove that he knows me because he's just sending it to some random girl's name.
Dude, like I've known about this like incredible luck that he has had prior to him ever getting into Pokemon cards. So then when I heard that he got into Pokemon cards casually and then started just pulling like the rarest shit out of the packs, I was like, of course. Of course, because who else? Mm-hmm. Who else but Dalton?
You know that thing where they say, like, you know you're with the right person if they say, like, oh, you're like them, and that's a compliment. Mm-hmm. But, like, I'm not like that. I mean, it would be a compliment.
You guys...
But I'm not like him at all.
are an incredible mix because... you guys couldn't be more different and yet have moments where you share the same brain cell. And I get it. Yes, I get a glimpse into the dynamic and I'm like, oh, and it's beautiful. But like, I think like you would probably overthink yourself into an early grave without him. And then I think he would die because he ran with scissors without you. So
he really brings me down. I'm like, would you love me if I had no arms and legs? And he's like, no. And I go on this whole tangent about how that's mean. He doesn't love me unconditionally and all these things. And he's just like,
correct.
I would not love you. I'm sorry.
And the beautiful thing is that you know you're dating an honest person.
Yeah, he's not lying. Just to spare my feelings.
No.
He's really not.
Oh my God, it's so real. It's so real. I'm not going to get on a whole tangent about him, but...
I know.
No,
now he's really going to listen to this episode.
I know. Well, I mean, if he knows his name is in there, then it's all the incentive he needs. Do you believe in unconditional love? Do you think that is a thing or should be a thing?
I think so.
Really? Elaborate. I'm very interested in this.
I know. I'm like, that's hard. I wasn't expecting that.
Well, even if you're figuring it out on the fly, because no judgment here.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, like if he was like, I don't know. I just think about like if he was like traumatic brain injury, like mush. Mm-hmm. And I had to like take care of him, I would. Mm-hmm. I think kids should be loved unconditionally. Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah, should be in ours. Different things.
I don't know. I don't have kids. But I love my cats unconditionally.
That's
most
fair.
of the time.
I don't think I do believe in unconditional love.
Really?
Because I think that...
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
that leads to abuse.
Okay.
Like if you're with someone...
Okay.
Well, if you're with someone that abuses you, like it doesn't have to be physical, but like if you're with someone that abuses you, like, and you unconditionally love them, like you'll never be able to leave.
That's true. I just can't think about, I guess, Dalton
abusing
me because he literally wouldn't hurt a fly.
I don't think he has that like capacity in his brain to abuse.
If anybody would be abusing, it'd be me.
Pack a mean punch.
Mm-hmm. I could.
No. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, I think it's a dangerous game to play because there should be conditions, or else you're gonna open yourself
I
up
guess
to
like
bad.
cheating and
Right.
all the terrible things.
Yeah, there has to be like a reason.
I would like there to be unconditional.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of things that we can wish were real. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't. The older I've gotten, the more conditional my love has gotten.
He's like, I only love you if you do this, this, and this.
I only love you if you don't do these things. Like, don't manipulate me. Don't harm me. Don't harm people I love. And I'll love you.
Past like the bare minimum things, like don't cheat on me, don't murder me, don't kick me. I don't know why kick.
Well, aren't those conditions though?
Yeah, like past like the very bare minimum conditions, I think it could be unconditional. You know,
if you don't count all of my conditions, my love is unconditional. I think that's healthy. I think you're doing it the right way. I'm just pointing out like that there are conditions, and that's good. You should have them. Like there should be conditions. Like don't let yourself not have standards. You know. I do. I'm like, I've been cheated on in like every other relationship, and I was always like, sayonara. Exactly, as you.
But I've never been murdered or
congratulations
beat or anything like that. So
good, no murder streak going.
No murder streak, but sometimes I do tell Dalton, I'm like, you're literally just a man in my house. Like, how do I know for sure you're not going to?
Oh my god, dude! This is why Rachel was telling me that I need to have a woman on, because none of my prior guests would have said that. Nana, maybe not. You're just a man in my house. It's so weird, bro. It's so weird. It is,
though. There was like a time where I didn't know him at all.
Yeah. I still think it's so funny that I met you the day that he could have met you, but he was on a hayride.
Literally a hayride.
He was on a hayride.
And then didn't you tell him after? Like, I talked to her?
Yeah, well, because he ended up pulling up your
after the hayride.
He ended up pulling up your Twitter account at the time, because he was like, dude, there's this girl that I think is so cute. And he's like, and I want to DM her, but I'm super nervous. And I was like, who? And
he said I looked like a bitch. That's why he was scared.
I don't know.
See, everyone hates me. We're going back to it.
That's Dalton, and that doesn't count.
Circle back.
Yeah, the one person who hates you is marrying you. But he was being gushy when he was talking to me, for sure. He was definitely nervous. He can write it off as whatever he wants. But he showed me your profile, and I was like, "Oh, dude, I met her." And he was like, "When?" And I was like, "At the Hots Gala." And he was like, "No, you didn't. I was there." And I was like, "You weren't there when I was meeting her." And he was like, "Where was I?" I was like, "You were off on a hayride. You were in the back of the truck on hay bales, getting a tour of the Lazy T Ranch."
Oh my god! Well, if you give a speech at our wedding, you got to throw that in there.
Oh my god, dude!
You got to throw that in there.
And funny enough, that was when
we had a full conversation.
Yeah, you were. It was like you, this other girl that I can't remember, and Antonella, and you guys were like, "Oh my god, we love your podcast with Nick." Like this whole thing, and that's how I met you guys. And I was like mind blown.
I literally would
anyone
sit
listened.
In my backyard, tanning, like drinking my little juices or a beer or whatever I was drinking. Yeah. I don't even know what I was drinking. In the backyard, tanning and listening to your guys' podcasts.
Dude, blew my mind. Like it's still weird now with this one, but like just the thought that someone who I didn't have any relationship with, like decided that I was worth their time, like just still to this day kind of like shocks me, because
I don't know
like,
how I even started either.
I mean like we had followed each other on social media, I believe, just because like
everyone knew you.
Well, I think. Calm down. First of all,
everyone knew you.
But I think it was also just like such a beautiful time of our youth and social media where everyone would just follow someone if they had like enough mutuals with them. Like it was, and there was no like particular number, but it was just this kind of like gut feeling where someone would follow you and they're like your best friend and 50 other people you know follow this person, and your thought was like, oh, this is just like a friend waiting to happen.
Yeah. Well, and you were like funny on Twitter. Like I feel like I knew you as like the funny kid on Twitter that kept going viral, you know? So then I don't know.
Oh god, dude, I had a glitch with Twitter at one point like a month or two ago, and I tried to search a tweet and it just pulled up, instead of it pulled up all of my tweets that had like over 100 likes on them. And didn't pull up anything about what I was searching, but I just sat there and I just kind of like scrolled through them, and I was like, oh my god, I used to just like do numbers. That was insane.
You did. And that's how I got started. I don't know. I think you just posted it on there and I listened to one because I've always liked podcasts. I honestly probably listen to more podcasts than like music.
That's impressive. I was just having this conversation the other day, I think with Dylan. And I was talking about how I don't even listen to audio podcasts.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm making one. I obviously I don't listen to my own because I don't want to relive a conversation a second time. I used to listen to him when I did it with Nick, but it felt a little different back then. I was still green, still new. But I don't even listen to audio podcasts like that. Like, and I think that's partially why it kind of blows my mind that people listen sometimes, because I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Like,
it's entertaining. I don't know. I feel like I have to be in a certain mood. Like on the way to work, I'm like half asleep. I just kind of like zone out. I'll put on like just like one album and just like I'm like a robot driving. Yeah. But on my way home, I'm like a little bit more like
engaged,
awake, and just, I don't know. It's more fun. It's a conversation. I feel like I'm almost hanging out with friends. Sometimes I'm weird and like chime in, which is kind of embarrassing.
No, I fucking love that.
But like, I'll be like totally chiming in, and then I don't think Dalton's listening. And he like totally knows that I'm weird. Chiming in on these podcasts. He's like, who are you talking to?
You didn't hear that?
But
speaking of work, I guess first of all, I'll let you introduce yourself. We haven't gotten to do that yet. 25 minutes deep, but you can figure out what like fun fact people want to know about you, or any yeah, I'm putting the pressure on.
Yeah, I always had the worst time in school with this. Should I stand up?
Should I stand up? 2 truths and a lie.
Ooh, that might be fun.
But we'll start with your name, because there's a good chunk of people who don't know you.
My name's Chloe.
There you go.
For some reason, this household in particular calls me my full name instead of my nickname. No, my middle name too.
Chloe Lynette Martinez.
Chloe Lynette Martinez.
That's pushed by Joel mainly.
Yeah, but now we have Dylan doing it. I'm like, when did my full name become my nickname? You know, at what point?
I've stuck to Chloe. I think
that's good.
I'm a Chloe truther.
Okay. Should we do 2 truths and a lie?
I kind of want to.
Okay.
Do you have?
Let me think. Like, I have one good one.
Okay.
I can't think of the lie.
You are the most pure person.
I don't know what the lie is. Okay, so all of them are truths. So I'm like, should I add a 4th one that's a lie?
You might just add a 4th truth.
Oh shoot! Now that I have 4 that are truths.
Do four truths.
Okay, the 5th one will be a lie. Okay. No, I don't want to tell that part of myself. Actually, we'll go back to 4.
Okay. 4 truths. What's the first one?
Gosh, why is the lie really hard?
Just do the 4 and we'll figure it out. What's the first one?
Oh, now I'm nervous. Do I want this all out there?
Okay.
Questionable. Why is a lie really hard to think of?
because you're too good of a person.
But like,
Then say a story that happened to Dalton or to someone you know and frame it as your own.
No, that's too hard. My brain immediately goes to the worst thing that's ever happened to people. I don't think I can lie on the spot.
Okay, then we'll just do the truths.
That's so hard.
Do the truths that you are comfortable with being out there. Then we'll get into
the ones that I'm not.
No, we don't even have to do that.
I am an emergency room nurse.
Beautiful. That was actually what I wanted to get into.
That's the truth.
Okay.
I'm 5'8.5". And my favorite color is pink.
Fantastic. The lie?
My favorite color is pink.
How tall are you?
What did I say?
You said 5. You said 5'8.5".
I'm 5'1".
Fantastic.
Why was that so hard?
Phenomenal job. I am actually quite shocked to hear that you are more mentally engaged coming home from work than going to work. I feel like
my brain is thinking.
I feel like a day in the life of an emergency room nurse, I would be fried.
I am.
By the end of it.
Most of the time I'll call Dalton immediately, vent about whatever weird time I had. Sometimes we'll talk on the phone all the way home, but other times I'll listen to a podcast, and it's a nice like distraction from
the harsh reality.
The harsh reality that I just had. Yeah.
You're 7 months deep being an emergency room nurse now? You said emergency service?
You probably emergency department, emergency room, whatever you want to call it. ED, ER.
Okay. ER nurse.
Yeah.
So you're 7 months in, roughly? You started in June?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it like compared to it? Like, was it what you thought going into it? Is it easier, harder, worse?
I think certain parts are easier than I thought it was going to be. I'm a lot better on my feet of like thinking critically than I thought I was ever going to be. And people that are either nurses or in nursing school understand there's like a whole, like you almost retrain your brain to think like a nurse because you have to like get to a certain point from like symptoms, medications. Like you have to be able to put it all together, you know? I'm a lot better at that than I thought I was ever going to be.
That's awesome.
And faster at it than I thought I was going to be, which is impressive to me because I'm not very fast in general. Like I'm kind of just like not.
I don't know.
I'm kind of type B.
Ranges. You say you're type B?
Yeah. I'm kind of a disaster in like a lot of things I do, but somehow it like works for me there. Mm-hmm. Like the overwhelming mess.
The chaos.
Yeah, it kind of works. It kind of fits.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I have other interactions with other nurses, like ICU nurses or med-surg nurses, they're so put together.
Really?
Yeah, they have like such a nice set out formulation of how they do things, and I'm like, wow, could not be me.
Do you think there's certain personality types that fit better for certain roles? For
sure. And I don't think I'm generally the face of the ER. It's usually a little more like tough, hard love.
Is it like as emotionally traumatic as the average person would assume? Like for me, I've lived a charmed life so that my encounters in the emergency room have been very limited. Mm-hmm. And so my idea of what your job would be like is like just constantly emotionally exhausting from encountering like basically the worst things that can happen to people.
It depends on the day, for sure. Depends on the case as well. There's certain things that like really stick with me. I mean, I see all kinds of crazy things that you almost become desensitized to it, but there's certain ones that do stick with you, that emotionally drain you, or just like the patient that just absolutely has no like control over what's happening to them.
Mm-hmm.
Those ones kind of hit like ethically.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just we don't really have a good system to take care of people that can't take care of themselves, really. So
what are you referring more to like conditions that people are born with?
Yeah, like that, and just I mean normal aging as well. And abnormal aging, really.
Mm-hmm. So like a lot of just like effects of like just like elderly people that you encounter that just don't have a choice in the fact that something's happening.
Yeah, that, and I don't know. There's so many different ones. There's even like kind of like things that like case management need to be involved in, or social workers. Things like that where I just it's kind of out of my control.
Right.
Where I'm kind of just waiting for placement for them to be in a safer spot.
Interesting.
And
what do you mean by case management? I don't really know what that is.
Like someone that, it's kind of social work. So like someone that comes in with their husband that they can't take care of, that like it's really not safe for them to be taking care of them at home. Like they might both be elderly. They might both be disabled. That makes it hard. Even like homeless people. A lot of times they need case management, or people that have like serious chronic issues that they can't drive. Maybe they have, you know, like some kind of seizure activity. They can't drive, or they have no legs, or they have, you know, some reason why they can't get to their treatment. We have to figure out like almost like a ride service or a home for them to live in.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers. So a lot of times people do sit in the ER waiting for placement to be able to go to like a safer spot than home or the streets or wherever they came from.
What's your since you're fairly new still, what's your impression of the system that we have in terms of taking care of people who need immediate help? Do you think it does well? Do you think it does worse than people think, better than people think? I feel like it's under a lot of scrutiny.
Immediate help, like the acute situation?
Yeah.
Like if you come in with some kind of shortness of breath or cardiac arrest or something that we acutely need to treat you right this second, I think we're pretty good at it. I would definitely trust my coworkers to like save my life. I wouldn't want them to see me naked, but we always talk about that. We're like, really? If I'm dying, don't take my shirt off.
The patient needs chest compressions.
I'm like,
keep that shit on.
Yeah. No, really. But I think it's more of the chronic things that we have a hard time with. I think in this community we have a lot of chronic conditions and not great options on how to get treated.
Right.
And I don't think people really have the knowledge base. I think when we're even diagnosed with anything, we don't really understand it.
Right. I've had, like, in my experience with particularly doctors, that it always just feels like they don't have enough time in their day to spend with you to be able to help you understand the ramifications of, like, a diagnosis. It kind of is like, okay, what are you? What do you have? Okay, these are the main talking points that I usually say to this. and then on to the next thing in my day.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it's not an easy path to becoming a doctor. It's not like you can just get more people to become doctors.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense. It probably feels cool to be able to say that you trust your life with your coworkers. I definitely don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I really do. I mean, there's probably some that I would be like, but for the most part, yeah, they're pretty good. It's just everyone in the ER is so quick to help you, and so, I don't know, they're just all willing to be right there.
Right.
Like if we know someone's coming in with something, or I ask for help, everyone's right there with no questions asked, you know? And I think constantly just everyone's kind of walking around. Like if you're not busy, you kind of check with your people around you. Like, hey, do you need anything? Can I get your patients anything? Do you want me to like help you out? Yeah. And it's such a culture of just helping each other that, yeah, I feel safe. I don't think I would have felt that way in any other department, which is interesting. A lot of departments in nursing are like, eat your young.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So they're pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
I feel like that comes out like your department's maybe more egalitarian operations kind of probably come out of necessity, I'd assume. Like when it's an emergency, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All that shit goes to the wayside. Like it matters saving this person.
We have to work together. And everyone is so calm. It's so interesting. When you watch like Grey's Anatomy or any of those, everyone is so hyped up. But what one of my nursing professors told me that stuck with me so much is that their emergency is not your emergency. And it sounds bad.
Right.
But it is something that I tell myself constantly to calm myself down, because obviously you're going to have a physical reaction to someone either dead or on their way out the door.
Yeah.
And like you are responsible for that. So to tell myself it's not your emergency, you are in the role to have to stay calm. It's challenged my like whole anxiety.
Yeah. I mean, that's an incredible skill to develop that I don't think you could ever go out of your way to put yourself in an environment to train yourself to get good at that other than what you're doing. Like, you'd have to put yourself in circumstances where you would normally panic and then talk yourself out of panicking enough times to get good at it.
Yeah. Sometimes I can feel my body physically panicking.
Even though you're not mentally?
Yeah, like my heart will be racing and like all the things. But if I'm panicking and that family member is looking at me panicking, how comfortable are you with me taking care of them?
Right. I mean,
you know, like,
yeah, I can immediately put myself in their shoes and think like the best nurse is a calm one and like a confident one. Yeah.
For the most part, I am. But there's sometimes that I'm like, okay.
Do you feel like your weak moments of where you start to like stress out or panic come from like maybe lack of experience, or like if you're encountering something you don't know the immediate solution to, or what do you or do you think it's just random?
I think it's in certain situations it's different. Sometimes, sadly, it's my frustration with the doctor. Because a lot of times I do know what I'm talking about. I'm looking at the patient.
Right.
I'm assessing the patient. I'm with them all day. I mean, actually, hopefully not all day, because the ER is supposed to be faster, but sometimes it happens that way. I have them all day. But the doctor sees them maybe once, twice. So like sometimes when I'm asking for things and they're not doing it fast enough, it frustrates me and I can see the decline.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll ask them like, hey, I need you to come
Look at them.
see him, you know? Like
Yeah.
I'm not making it up.
Right.
So that frustrates me because that's out of my control. I can't just override the doctor's orders. I can't
Right.
just decide that I'm doing something.
Right.
Sometimes when it's a patient's declining that wasn't expected to decline, that's stressful.
Yeah.
And then anything that's new that I don't exactly know how to act on quickly and efficiently. But usually once I do it once or twice, then I'm like, okay, I'm good. You know?
Yeah.
But there's quite a few things that, I mean, there's just so many things that can go wrong.
With the body?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember you just over the years, like, studying so fucking much and occasionally just sharing some of the stuff you were learning. And it's just so, like, gruelingly specific in terms of bodily functions and the mechanisms behind them and understanding those to like the
It's my favorite part.
Really?
I love it.
It's super interesting. I mean, because you're diving into a lot of chemistry just alone with the like chemical reactions that happen not only within the body but when you administer some sort of drug and then how those change. I really enjoy a lot of the nomenclature that you run into where you need to understand like the etymology of words. So like hypo and hyper and if it ends in what is it? If it
itis.
Yeah, itis, it's inflammation. Yeah. And isn't it like oh god, have you heard of a YouTube channel called Chubby Emu?
I feel like I've heard of it.
He's a doctor. He's, I think, an emergency room doctor that like describes his cases that he's dealt with. Obviously, he keeps them anonymous, but he presents them to you as if you are in the ER. And he's like, you know, patient A is presenting with hypo, like what is it, hypoxia or something like that, like low oxygen in the blood, and or that's hypoxia. And he's like, okay.
Correct.
I
nodded.
And he's like, okay, like, you know, how do you figure this out? Like, and usually it's like the craziest things. Like, he doesn't just present it with a random like traumatic injury or like a cardiac arrest, but like someone ate an entire bottle of multivitamin gummies and now their
call poison control.
Or yeah, now their organs are failing.
We call poison control all the time.
Really?
They tell us exactly what to do. Love them.
That's so crazy.
And then they follow up later.
Really? I didn't even know you could call poison control. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I knew about it as a kid because my brother used to eat things and then my mom would call. But now I literally use it in my professional life.
Huh.
Yeah. I actually called this week. I called about lithium toxicity. It's a drug usually used for bipolar, usually type 1. And then I've called for rattlesnake bite.
Oh my God.
That was fun. I've also called for Tylenol OD. That was fun. Yeah.
And so you call, and how does that encounter go? So like with rattlesnake, for instance, you call and you say, hey, I have someone who was bit by a rattlesnake.
Yeah, I tell them like my name, I even give them like the patient's information and everything because they track that case. Because they do everything obviously like based on scientific knowledge, like anything that's tested, and the best knowledge that they know at that time. So they give you recommendations like exactly step for step what to do, because a lot of times in those situations, especially like a rattlesnake, we don't have that like every day, you know. So the doctors don't even really know what to do either. So it's on the nurse to call poison control. They give us a list of all the things we should do, write them down, give it to the doctor, like, here you go, here's what they recommend, and then we follow it from there. And yeah, for that particular case, we did anti-venom, and then we ended up sending them out of that hospital to be monitored because we don't have pediatrics. But it's interesting.
Do you have like just anti-venom in stock?
Yeah.
And is it like you have specific anti-venom for rattlesnakes and a specific anti-venom for like Mojave?
Yeah, like anything that lives out here, we have
a stock of?
Yeah, we have a stock of, which it's not very common, but yeah, the pharmacy will get involved. Like, we'll let them know we have a person this weight, this size, whatever.
And they'll
this
give you,
is
like,
when
dosage?
it happened. Yeah, and they'll give it. Usually the poison control will give you the dosage of what they recommend, and the pharmacists are pretty incredible. At least at my hospital, I actually just recommended them, one of them, to be employee of the month because she's like the best. She like saves me all the time. But yeah, they'll give the recommendation. The pharmacists, they usually know too, and then they give me the bag and I give it.
It's interesting. I didn't realize how much like outsourcing you have to do in your role when it comes to like tapping on the shoulders of other people in order for you to even move forward.
Yeah. If I didn't have a phone to answer in the hospital, I would get so much more done.
Really?
Yeah. It's like a thing on, I feel like, nursing TikTok.
Oh yeah.
That nurses just do like a million side tasks in a day, and that's like your day. That's it. And it's true.
So when someone calls you for like a side task, what do they ask? Like, what side task is worthy taking you away from what you're doing?
Thank you very much. Can you tell my manager that? I mean, no, it is important stuff. Like, if I have a well, this is going to get specific, I guess, but just bear with me. If I have like a DKA patient, a diabetic ketoacidosis patient, for instance.
See, this is the stuff I love. You said bear with me, but I'm locked in now. Like, I love specifics.
Or say a heart attack or whatever. They're calling me with a lab value that's critical. I am legally responsible for telling the doctor that critical result from the lab. And then the doctor will write orders based on that critical lab. Now I go and give the medication to fix it or whatever. So, yeah, sometimes you're like in the middle of dressing a gnarly wound on some guy's leg and you're like, I have no hands.
Yeah.
So I'll ask someone to either answer my phone in my pocket, or they'll call the charge nurse and tell them, which that looks bad because I'm supposed to answer my phone. But sometimes there really are instances that I can't answer.
Right. Do you have a work phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Work phone. It's
like
Android.
Ugh.
I know.
Come on, America.
But man, those things are strong. I smack that thing on the floor. I've had patients throw them at the wall.
Huh?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Well, sometimes they're a little mad.
At what?
I don't know. Life, me.
Oh my god.
They want Dilaudid.
They want Dilaudid.
You know, the normal.
Oh my god. Do you encounter that a lot? Like people coming in just to get a dosage?
More often than you would think.
Yeah, that's like, again, you're talking to a rookie.
They'll ask for, they'll know specifically
what they want.
They want 50 of Benadryl.
They know like amounts.
They know amounts. So if you tell a doctor, like, hey, I'm in pain and I'm itchy and all this stuff, and you give them this whole little concoction of medications that you want to knock you on your ass, we put it like
On
we
your
write
file.
it down, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard though, because there are doctors that sometimes I'm like, they are not drug seeking. They have chronic issues.
And they know what they need.
They know what they need. They're
Yeah.
here a lot. They have actual pain.
Yeah.
But there are the people that like,
Trying to get high.
they're just trying to get high. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's hard to differentiate sometimes. And I think as the nurse, you're with the patient a lot more. So it's harder to get out of not giving them what they want. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because the doctor, it's so easy for them to go, nah, they're not in pain.
Mm-hmm.
They're sitting at their computer.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see them.
Right.
I'm seeing their blood pressure spiking. I'm seeing their heart rate spike. They're sweating.
Mm-hmm.
They're showing like actual physical symptoms of pain. But because they got in a car accident 20 years ago and they've been taking narcotics for this long, the doctor is just assuming they're addicted, which they probably are.
Mm-hmm.
But who am I to say they're not in pain? And that's not really my problem.
Right.
I'm not here to get you sober.
Right.
It's not my job. Yeah, it's really not my job to get you sober. Unless you want me to, then I can connect you with someone that can.
Right. You can pass it off.
Yeah.
Is it easy? I guess you said it isn't, but like there are times though where it's easy to tell when someone is clearly going in for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times we call them frequent flyers.
Interesting.
So we'll see the same people,
Regular customers.
regular customers that get the same concoction. They specifically don't want certain doctors.
Because they know they won't treat them.
They already know that doctor won't say yes. And then they'll pretty much flip-flop from us to AV. And yeah.
Do you guys have like any written rule or obligation to like report those people, not like to the police, but like to like certain organizations that are, their purpose is to help people get off those things?
I don't think, I mean, not that I know of, really. I mean, like the guy that I Narcan and tries to punch me in the face, that guy, I'm supposed to connect with the substance abuse lady.
So like when it's like,
you would not believe though the normal people that are on drugs, like the normal looking people that are like shooting heroin.
Really? Yeah, because I mean, I'll be very straightforward. Most of my stereotypes that fit within these ideas are like, you have to look like a junkie or like chronically homeless, where there's just a certain look of, oh, this person has a life that has been ruined by drugs. So the idea of someone like that you would see like at work who is also doing that is very interesting.
Yeah. Substance abuse does not have any like
mold.
Particular person. Yeah. I mean, of course, there's a lot of homeless and like certain people that look like junkies, but more so meth, I would say. Like meth users are a little more easy to spot. But usually I would say they're kind of paired with like the mental health disorders a lot of times, the homeless. So that makes it a little difficult too, because like they're just trying to, I mean, it's cold outside and like all the things, like I wouldn't want to be sober outside either, you know.
Right.
Like really, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think like the opioids are very, very hard to spot.
Interesting.
I was like shocked by this guy. He came in, he was like in like work boots and like an orange long sleeve. Like those people
like
almost
like
make me like,
worker.
yeah, like those people almost make me emotional because they're like normal looking people.
Right, like the blue collar, hardworking, everyday American
Yeah,
person.
and it's like, sometimes I'll ask them, like, how did you even, like, get started on this? I
Mhm.
don't have any filter. I'm like,
Yeah.
How did you get
I
here?
would be the same way.
you know? The only questions I don't ask that too is, like, when we get, like, inmates. I don't like to ask them,
Right.
like,
Right.
why are you here?
Yeah. Yeah.
How'd you get here?
Yeah.
I'd rather just not know.
Yeah.
But, like, I'll ask them, and, like, it's usually, like, a work injury or, like, dirt bike accident, car accident, like, something where they, like, get hooked, and then obviously actual prescriptions are going to be more expensive than heroin.
Right. And
So then
it's the same
Yeah.
solution.
Yeah, and then you, like, ask, does anyone know in your family or anything? And they're like, no.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, do you think if we had a equally effective painkiller that wasn't an opiate?
Oh my God, we're getting one approved, I think.
I saw that.
Did you see that?
Yes, I saw it was a non-opioid.
I hope that it works.
I saw that it's not as effective as opioids are, like in when they did trials and tests.
I mean, I love
it's-
opioids. They're great.
Whoa.
They are.
Yeah.
They do what they need to do, but
Right.
it's just so addictive.
Yeah.
So fast.
Yeah.
So fast.
I mean, it's chemically hardwired to
Yeah.
go straight there.
And people, we just give it out so crazy in the ER, but, like, once, I don't know.
I feel like the ER is the only place that I
Yeah, because pain is so
and
acute.
completely feel like is justified. Like,
Yeah.
hand it out as much as you need. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, but it just even without this like current one that's on the horizon, but like if we had one, that was like equally as effective, but just not an opioid, like
Mm-hmm.
you'd probably see a huge decline in heroin addiction.
But they say that it's not addictive, too, this new drug.
Yeah, I just my worry is that it's just not going to be strong enough.
Oh, yeah.
To,
Well, if it doesn't give a euphoric,
high.
yeah, like if there's not the euphoria and there's no addictive properties, I feel like people would just be able to use it, like,
recreationally.
well, I guess they could, but I feel like it would be easier. Like, not a lot of people are, like, snorting Tylenol.
Right,
You know
right.
what I
Yeah,
mean?
no.
Like, it
No.
doesn't have euphoria like that. So,
Right. So you're not actually getting high.
yeah. But I don't even think people that are addicted to it are, like, addicted to the euphoria anymore.
No, it's just fighting off withdrawal.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
But I mean more in the sense of like if we had an effective effective painkiller that wasn't an opioid, that wasn't addictive, we would it would essentially like cut off a huge pipeline towards new heroin addicts.
Oh, yeah. 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 Like creating new addicts.
Yes.
Yeah.
The current addicts is a completely different problem.
Yeah.
Like that you'd have to find a solution
Yeah.
to.
Oh, gosh. We suck at it really bad.
Mm-hmm.
We have all these, we have, like, I don't know. We have opioids that we, like, hand out that are supposed to be better.
In terms of like preventing addiction, or
Well, preventing more so, like, use of dirty needles. It's an opioid, but it's like small doses that we give people. Usually it's clinics.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still addictive in the same.
Of course, yeah.
It's still
It's
an
still-
opioid,
it's still
but
an
the only
opioid.
thing is it's like not as dangerous, I guess.
Yeah, it's like less likely for an OD essentially.
I mean, yeah, I guess so, because it's lower dose, and you only get a certain amount.
Right.
They only give you like a little bit
Yeah.
at a time, so you have to keep going. Some of the clinics are even like daily clinics where you go get your dose
Mm-hmm.
and then you go home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't get like a bunch of pills and things, so that's at least good. But I don't know, is it helping?
Right. It's
don't
just
know.
staving off.
Yeah, it's supposed to help like the
Problems.
street issues of dirty needles and all that, because
Yeah.
now people are dying of AIDS and Hep C and all that.
Right.
Just a whole nother.
Do you feel like, so obviously like working as an ER nurse, like you have because I guess I'll just start at like the main point that I'm trying to understand and get at, and maybe that you have some sort of like newfound knowledge on it.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously like particularly Southern California, we like deal with like a huge homelessness issue out here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like working as an ER nurse has helped you understand the roots of those issues better, or do you feel like you're just out of the loop as everyone else? because you said like you can spot meth users better, but not as much heroin, and sometimes it's mental health. So like it seems like you're getting a kind of a grasp, but I don't know how much.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it makes me almost more sad because it humanizes them, obviously. Right. I have conversations with them.
Yeah.
At work all day.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's someone. So
yeah,
for me, it makes me more sad for them.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them are just not, they're not capable of being productive in society.
Yeah.
Nor do some of them want to.
Right. Do you feel like that is, do you feel like the average encounter you have seems to be that the mental health issues came first and then the drugs after, or drugs first and then mental health issues came from those? Ooh, or if drugs aren't even
that's hard. That's like chicken and the egg.
Oh yeah.
Like, because some people that are like predisposed to mental health disorders such as bipolar 1, even bipolar 2 sometimes, and then schizophrenia, mm-hmm. those certain ones can be triggered by drug use.
Mm-hmm. Even if they didn't deal with it before?
Yeah.
Wow.
Especially, so the early teens to early 20s age is where you're usually going to see the mental health issues start to really...
You're going to find out.
Like, I mean, the, like, not depression, anxiety, those ones. Like, I mean, like schizophrenia, like
bipolar disorder,
like seriously hallucinating, all of those things to where you are not able to be functioning in the world, mm-hmm. Without medication. They can be triggered by drug use. And what a lot of people don't realize is marijuana is a big one.
Really?
And a lot of people go into a marijuana-induced psychosis and then come out the other side
kind of broken.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And don't come out.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I never thought about that aspect. I feel like that changes the conversation around, and obviously I'm no expert, I'm not in the room for these conversations, but that changes the conversation around marijuana legalization, where like maybe in the future, if it gets federally legalized, mm-hmm. you have to, in order to, let's say you need like a license to purchase marijuana, you would need to have a test done to where you can prove that you're not genetically predisposed right. to schizophrenia, mm-hmm. or other like really harsh, could fuck your whole life up permanently, mm-hmm. Disorders. Because I know in the psychedelic space, they talk about like if you have any sort of genetic disposition to schizophrenia, you should not touch it.
No,
because it can just literally just scramble you like an egg. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I never thought about marijuana doing it.
Marijuana, I have a love-hate relationship with.
Right.
Because I'm constantly telling people you have gastritis because you smoke marijuana. If you stopped smoking marijuana, you would not have gastritis.
Gastritis is inflammation of...
stomach.
Oh. Really?
Yeah. I mean, smoking anything is not
good for you. Yeah.
The smoke is going into your other organs. It's not just going into your lungs. People don't understand. Your trachea, your esophagus are right there next to each other. So the smoke's going essentially into the stomach, irritating the lining, and now it's inflamed. So a lot of people will have like almost like a stomach ulcer feeling, like burning.
Wow.
Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, low appetite, which you would think that marijuana would increase your appetite, but a lot of people, when they get to that point, they can only eat when they smoke because it's masking those symptoms.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So then they feel nauseous if they don't smoke before they eat.
That's super interesting. It's weird to think that someone can go their entire childhood without ever realizing that when they hit a certain age, they will just like snap into bipolar disorder or schizophrenia.
I know.
Like a lot of disorders are diagnosed at birth. Like, you know genetically
Mm-hmm.
what you have
Mm-hmm.
because you come out with symptoms.
It's usually early adulthood.
And that makes sense because I've had a couple friends who got diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and I've known them as kids, and they never
Mm-hmm.
showed any sign of being quote unquote off.
Mm-hmm.
And then just one day, like, something pushes them past the brink and they snap, and then they're never the same.
Yeah. Bipolar is an interesting one. It's just the very high highs, the very low lows. But what people
Yes.
don't understand, I feel like people have this weird idea of bipolar where they think it's like a snap. Like, I'm going to be very angry right now, and then I'm going to be all nice and normal the next second. It's not like
Yeah.
that. It's periods of, it can be months. It can be
Yeah.
half a year of this deep depression. They fall off the face of the earth. You really don't hear from them. And then all of a sudden they have this 6-month bender,
Mm-hmm.
spending all their money, doing drugs. They're on top of the world. They almost have like a God complex.
Yeah, they're risk averse, or not. Or no, should I say not risk averse?
Yeah, yeah. They just don't
Care
really have any regard for their own life well-being.
or future.
That's where a lot of people get into drugs or risky sex habits or money spending, gambling, all the things.
Yeah.
All the other.
All the vices.
Yeah. And then they go back into the deep depression. But a lot of them stop taking their medications because why would you stop taking your medication if you feel like God?
Exactly.
If you feel on top of the world? I don't
Yeah.
need this.
You know, I had a friend of a friend who I will keep anonymous, who recently they were working at a well-established company, and just had a breakdown, and they trashed the place, like defamed their bosses, posted about it all over social media, and like it wasn't like a one day thing and then they were like oops and
Yeah.
then like deleted it. It was like weeks
Yeah.
of just parading around the like workspaces that they destroyed and posting conversations, like text messages, voice recordings, all this stuff, and then they fled the country. And the person that I know that knows this person was like very taken aback by all of this because they were like, I've never seen anything like this from them, and then this is like
Yeah.
they're destroying their future.
Yeah.
They eventually came back and got arrested.
Aw.
And I immediately was like, the only ever time
See,
I've
that's
ever
sad.
seen, yeah, and the only other time I've ever seen someone do such drastic things like that, they later got diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
But they're always very grandiose. Like they truly believe the things that they're saying.
Yes.
Like, oh, I'm a millionaire. I'm a doctor. I'm a blah, blah. Like, they're so grandiose and they truly believe it. In their head,
Yeah.
it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. But it's sad when you say, like, oh, he was arrested because I could go on this whole tangent, but it's like the re-institutionalized.
Right.
We used to put them in, like, the mental hospitals, and now they just go to jail.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel like, so my concept of mental hospitals was that it was a outdated malpractice that was,
it was
good that we got rid of.
It was, but I think we'd need somewhere for them to go.
Yeah, there needs to be a difference between completely free in the world and prison.
Yeah, because it's like, where do you go from? I mean, you get 5150 because you're a danger to yourself, or others, or you're just not able to take care of yourself, is what we call like gravely disabled.
Mm-hmm.
They go to a hospital, spend a few days there, and then you're really just released home,
knowing that they can't do anything.
Yeah, or you go to prison because you've really done some stupid things.
Right.
But I feel like we need something, like somewhere for them to go to get like long-term like treatment or living, or I don't know.
Assistance. of some
It's
sort.
hard, but
Yeah.
it won't make enough money, so
It would have to be publicly funded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to be. I got to tour the Twin Towers.
Memorial?
No, Twin Towers prison.
Oh, yeah.
In LA.
Yeah.
It's the biggest mental health facility in the United States. I got to tour it actually in nursing school. It was honestly probably one of the most like humbling experiences I've ever had.
Really?
I got to talk to so many prisoners.
You were in middle school?
No, nursing school.
Oh, I'm
nursing
sorry.
School.
I don't know why.
So this was probably like 2 years ago now.
Okay.
I was in my mental health course during that time, but it was so interesting. I mean, there's definitely the people that are like throwing things and whatnot and whatever, but I actually got to talk to 2 convicted murderers.
Really?
And they run a program. They actually have a podcast, and I wish I remembered what it was called. I probably have it written down somewhere. But they talk about like helping people in the prison system deal with their mental health, because a lot of them are there for mental health issues. Like they had a break in their normal, and killed someone or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. It was cool to talk to them, and like they were totally normal people.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't catch me that much by surprise, the idea that you can murder someone and also come off as a normal person. I feel like Hollywood's contribution to that stereotype only goes so far, because in the same breath they'll romanticize Ted Bundy, and Ted Bundy was notably charming.
Yeah. I know. I probably would have got killed by him too.
It's important that we acknowledge these things so that they don't
Especially
happen.
if it was Zac Efron.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Well, not Zac Efron now. But before he looked like a cinder
not
block.
Iron Claw Zac Efron, but High School Musical Zac Efron.
Yeah.
Do you feel like Twin Towers does what it's set out to do?
I think in some instances, yes. But I think it's still lacking what it needs. There's some people in there that are just absolutely like I don't even know how to describe them by anything other than feral.
Wow.
Like literally feral people. But then there's the people that are like those guys where they kind of have a little more freedom. So there's different spots I got to walk around. The people that I'm talking about that are like feral are like in those little confined areas behind like a giant door with baby window. And you see them like
oh my god.
or like throwing
fecal matter.
Yeah. But then there's those guys that I got to talk to, and they're like in a whole area that's open. They have their own little bedrooms that they go into at night, but they have couches and they had televisions and they see therapists.
But they just can't leave.
Yeah, they just can't leave,
and are
essentially.
they like on life sentences?
Yeah.
Wow. So that's just like their permanent apartment.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was kind of cool to talk to them because they're still making a change in the world for, I mean, at least someone in there.
The inside out, yeah.
You know? Even if they help one guy in there. But
do you feel like there are this is we've kind of strayed a little, but it's fun. Do you feel like there are murderers like them that you would trust going back into society?
Yeah.
Yeah. After that experience, do you feel like you would have had a different answer before that experience?
Yeah. So I think it's hard because as obviously like the family members of those people that were murdered, I think would have probably a different say, and I can't ever put myself in those shoes. I hope to never like know what that feels like.
Right.
But yeah, I think I do believe in second chances, and like say there's like an 18, 19-year-old kid that gets in gang related
trouble.
Yeah, it's like you
You never got
murdered
a shot.
someone when you were that young. It's like, I don't know, to like keep you in there your entire life until you're 90.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think as I've gotten older, I believe in lighter sentencing on certain first time crimes.
Mm-hmm.
And like way harsher sentencing on repeat offenders.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the thing that California was suffering from for a little bit prior to this most recent election cycle, because obviously like we voted in harsher sentences on like repeat offenders. But that like friends of mine who were police officers would talk about how there were times they would arrest people and it would feel so pointless because they knew that this person was going to be back out on the street in like 72 hours. And they knew that they were going to arrest them again in like a month.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, it feels so like ridiculous. Like it feels like something systematically is broken where I remember there was someone who got killed by the police, and naturally on social media, anytime that happens, there's going to be an uproar. But then they had the most ridiculous number of felonies that I'd ever heard of. It was like over 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like they did one thing that ended up being 12 felonies. It was like years of accruing these felonies. And then they murdered someone and then they got killed by the cops. And I look at that as someone not educated in law, not educated in the prison system or in rehabilitation, but just as a citizen, and go, how on earth did we not figure out that this was someone that we shouldn't release the 13th time?
Yeah.
And because like I agree with you, like I really do believe in second chances and rehabilitation, and meeting someone who had a really rough start and then made really bad decisions. And then you kind of start to question like why we should keep them locked up for longer than they ever lived free.
Yeah.
And I definitely think there are cases to be made for second chances on stuff like that. But then there are, at the same time, like, you know, you speak to any of your like local deputies and they'll talk about how like they just don't keep them behind bars, and then they go and like
there's no space.
Yeah. and it's just
there's nowhere for them to go.
It's so nuts too, because also people are against building more prisons because that, like, I feel like that symbolically looks bad, where you're like encouraging the prison system and everyone's certain critiques of it, but at the same time it's really hard to determine what leads to a safer street and you still are being ethical. And I feel like it's super interesting just to get your perspective on it, because you are like sometimes witnessing someone's last free moments before, even though you're treating them, they will then get arrested. And
well, a lot of times the police, if there's something that like is hurting the person when they arrest them, they say like, oh, I feel like I'm dying, my chest hurts, or they got in a fight and that's why they got arrested or whatever. They come into the hospital to get medically cleared to then go. It's like okay to book. So we do like check people out before they go.
Is that like a daily thing, or really
constantly?
Wow.
Constantly. Like you start almost like becoming friends with the police officers
because you
that
see
are
them
there.
so often.
Yeah, I see them really often, and they are also there with the inmates. So they hang out the whole time. There's 2 of them. And yeah, we become friends pretty much. But honestly, I only talk to the police officers really if they're like outside the room or if they're like engaging with the inmate.
Right.
I try, when I enter the room, I'm not introducing myself to the inmate and
The officer.
the officer. I'm not.
The officer's not a part of your process.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm
so.
like, hi, I'm Chloe. I'm going to be your nurse today, to the inmate.
I hear you swallowed an entire bag of cocaine.
Yeah.
We're here to check that.
Yeah. Well, and I get kind of frustrated with the officers sometimes because, like, I know they're there for my safety. I know I don't know what they're there for. I am thankful they're there to protect me. But if I'm trying to put like an IV in their arm, I need you to uncuff that arm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing it with them cuffed down.
Mm-hmm.
That's inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
You can cuff the other arm.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
which isn't much to ask.
yeah, like we don't need that one cuffed if that's the one I'm working on, you know? And most of them kind of respect that. They will like do it, but some of them I have to ask them.
Mm-hmm. You feel like
And,
they're
like,
rookies or they're just being
I don't know.
difficult?
I don't know what it is, but I'm like, I just need you to, I don't know.
Chill out.
Yeah, I just don't want them to be tied down when I'm like, you know, if you're going to punch me in the face, you're going to punch me in the face, I guess. But like, I don't want you strapped down. You didn't do anything to me right now to deserve to be strapped down.
Right.
If one of your ankles or one of your arms is, I don't care.
Yeah,
but,
as long as you're restrained at some point.
yeah, like, you don't need to be restrained on the one I'm working on. It feels weird,
Yeah.
you know?
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I just want to treat them as like,
A person.
you're my patient,
Yeah.
you know? I don't
Yeah.
want you to like be uncomfortable, like your elbow's twisted weird.
Oh yeah, I can see.
Or
that.
like, I don't know.
And then you're stabbing into them at the same time.
Yeah, like it doesn't. I don't know.
Do you still feel new with all of it?
No,
Really? That's awesome.
no. It's actually interesting because literally the second even before I was like off orientation, I had students, and I have students all the time. Sometimes I have 2 of them.
Students as in new employees or actual students
No, like
going to college?
students going to college.
Wow.
Like,
They're just there for that?
yeah. So to become a nurse, you have to do so many hours, clinical rotation. So
I guess I've heard of that, but I've never like heard about it from the nurse's perspective. Like you never really get the specifics unless you're like dating the person in the nursing program going to the hospital. But that's so weird. So you're like,
so
you
I
have
teach
to,
them.
You have to do your job and be a teacher or like a tutor.
Yeah, which I like it. It's almost one of my favorite things to do. I mean, unless the student's super new and it almost takes more time out of my day to teach them.
Mm-hmm.
But usually in the ER, we don't get like super, super newbies.
Yeah.
They at least have some kind of experience because it's a critical care setting.
Right. So you can't really be bogged down.
Yeah. But it's kind of fun because you kind of realize how much you know when
Someone's asking.
Yeah. And I always ask them questions like, do you know why you're giving that medication? Or do you know why we're drawing this lab for this? Or have you ever felt a beating fistula?
What's a beating fistula?
When we have dialysis patients, which we have a very high population of dialysis patients in the Antelope Valley, we connect. Well, I don't. Someone does. Connect a vein and an artery to make a fistula. So then it has an arterial beat. We call a thrill when you palpate or feel it. And it has a bruit when you listen with your stethoscope.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, those are the things that I make my students assess.
What does connecting it do?
I don't know why it has to be connected. I don't see why we can't do it from either venous blood or arterial blood. But for some reason, I don't know. It's weird. I would have to figure out why, but they loop it together.
Interesting.
And they pull the blood from that spot.
Really?
Either on like their lower forearm or their upper arm. Those are the fistulas. We also have like ones that are in the chest wall, but those ones aren't considered fistulas.
So they're natural fistulas. They're not like someone had to actually attach the artery to the vein?
No, they go in and they
surgically attach.
Do it, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that will be where essentially, because people don't know, the kidneys filter blood.
Right.
To pull out
toxins,
urea, all the things, ammonia.
Yeah.
All the things that would build up in your blood from just daily living. And then they also pull out water, excess salt, or other electrolytes, whatnot. And everything builds up if you can't pee, if your kidneys don't work anymore to create urine. So essentially, dialysis is just a big filter.
It's a big external kidney.
Yeah, for the blood. All the blood goes in there. They take it out, and it goes back in. It's pretty cool. And people do it like 2 to 3 times a week usually.
That's so nuts. I knew the purpose of dialysis. I did not know that they go in and connect a vein and an artery for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. It's really cool. And then it's pretty much, I would say, most of the population that does dialysis, it's from uncontrolled hypertension.
Really? And that's usually due to like diet and lifestyle, right?
Yeah. I mean, it can be somewhat genetics, but most people just don't eat right, or they eat too much salt, or don't exercise, don't take their blood pressure medicine when they're supposed to.
And then that just kills the kidney?
Yeah. The kidneys are the first ones to check out with blood pressure. They're like, nope.
Wow.
We out.
And there's like no... Are there ever any states in where the kidneys can be saved and like turned back on?
Acute kidney injury.
Mm.
Chronic kidney injury, no. They're dead.
That's crazy.
Dead. With acute kidney injury, that would be like you vomited for like 2 days and you're super dehydrated and your poor little kidneys are sad and dry.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have a UTI that gets to your kidneys.
Mm.
But with a little water and some antibiotics, you're good. Reversible damage.
When my dad was in the ICU with COVID, they were debating dialysis with him, just due to the lack of oxygen that he was getting to all of his organs. Yeah, because I learned a lot about the way the body works when he
the ICU
was in there. Yeah, and what I didn't know was that your body will pull oxygen from your organs to keep like the more vital organs alive. Like it can prioritize. And that's why
kidneys are just
one of the least vital.
Yeah, they go quick. I mean, they're so vital,
yeah,
but they're just
in terms of last ditch effort.
Yeah, your body will ditch those ones real quick.
Mm-hmm. And then
your eyeballs.
Like, really?
Your eyes, yeah.
Yeah, I remember
your liver.
Yeah, I figured your liver would be pretty quick as well. Yeah, I remember that he came home and his toes were black.
Oh yeah.
Because of the lack of blood circulation, because of how little oxygen he was getting due to COVID at the time.
That's so crazy.
He was on a ventilator for
I would love to see his
6
ABG.
days. Yeah, I know. I wonder if there are any files we could show you. That'd be fun. And it was like, I don't know. I can't really describe how it would be on the top of the foot. Like I can point and show you, but people listening wouldn't be able to. But like, in terms of the top of the foot, it was like black past like the balls of his feet. So it was pretty noticeable. And I was like, oh, he's losing those. and he kept all of them. Like, just after he recovered and came back, and over time just had
I guess
blood
as long as he
circulating.
had like pulses in them, they were getting some kind of oxygen.
Yeah, somehow, but it was nuts.
Yeah, your periphery
done. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean,
your vital organs are the first ones to get oxygen, and the rest of you is like sayonara.
yeah, because it's not technically vital, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The body's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I loved. I don't think it was when we were recording this, but I loved your analogy of saying you're a mechanic for the meat machine.
I know. No, I really am. It's so weird when people come in with like one electrolyte off, and it's causing all these crazy things. Like
really?
Sodium. People that have super crazy low sodium have seizures.
Oh my gosh.
And so we just give them a little sodium. I mean, it actually takes a while because you can't replace sodium quickly. You have to do it very, very slow because it does have a big effect on the neurological system.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, or potassium. Like we'll see I guess I don't know how specific. I feel like I'm like going on tangents, but like
I would love for you to speak with the level of detail that you would with like a coworker or something.
Yeah.
Obviously, like certain jargon, I may ask questions, but
mm-hmm.
you know, I'm a science nerd, so I can.
Yeah. Like on the EKG, people will come in with peak T waves. So that's like the first little bump is P, and then you go through the QRS, which is the ventricles contracting, and then T. That one will be really spiked and high, with potassium being high. And it can even cause like cardiac dysrhythmias too. But it's so cool to just bring the potassium down, and now we have a normal EKG.
Huh. And is those waveforms, is that like the iconic heartbeat noise and visual that follows?
Yeah.
And so you'd be able to look at that heartbeat monitor, essentially, see that spike after the main wave, and then go, oh, they have high potassium.
Yeah.
Or that's likely that they have high potassium.
Yeah. It's cool.
That definitely gives much more of a mechanic feel.
Right? And then we do like this little concoction of medications, get their potassium low, and then they're good.
Does it feel like you're standing on the shoulders of giants when you enter this world and all of these solutions have already been figured out? Like you just get told, yes, this concoction,
I know. It's so
solves
weird.
this issue. Like
it's so weird.
You didn't have to be there for the trial and error period of them figuring out what was necessary.
Right.
Like now you're just memorizing solutions that other people eons ago had to figure out the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
And
or you get someone's blood gases back, which is, so we have like a normal pH in the body is 7.35 to 7.45.
Okay.
And so if we are a little too acidic or a little too basic, it throws so many things off. Mm-hmm. Like with
That
your
makes
dad
sense.
having COVID, he probably was holding on to CO2.
Mm-hmm.
So CO2 is acidic.
Interesting.
So his pH would be lower, like might be 7.32.
Yeah.
Well, if you're at like 7.2, you're probably not going to make it.
Really? That's so
That's
crazy.
really low.
0.1.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there are people, but I might panic at that point. I might be panicking.
Is it the same level of sensitivity on the other end, on the basic side, like 0.1, and you're like near death?
Yeah. I would say I'm more afraid of, I feel like I'm more afraid of acidosis. Yeah, because we have, so that would be respiratory acidosis, like I was saying with your dad holding on to CO2 because CO2 is acidic. Mm-hmm. But then we have metabolic acidosis as well, where
it's based off of your gut.
Yeah, essentially. Mm-hmm. So, let's see, what's like a example of that? So diabetics, type 1 specifically, they need insulin to help sugar enter the cells. It's almost like a key to like let the sugar into the cells.
Right.
If you don't have the key, the sugar just circulates. And cells, for the most part, we use carbohydrates as energy, and sugar is carbohydrate, for those of you that don't know.
Right.
And the cells are essentially starving without insulin, so then the sugar is all floating around. There's nowhere for it to go. The body starts using fat for energy instead. That's where a lot of people do the ketosis diet,
right?
Which is fine, I guess, if you're not diabetic. But
yeah,
ketosis, the breakdown of fat, when you use fat for energy instead of carbohydrates, it has a byproduct called ketones.
Right.
Ketones are acidic.
Oh.
So then you get the metabolic acidosis from that. So then we have to bring down the acidosis. That one's honestly so impressive that scientists were able to figure out how to fix that one, because it still confuses me.
It sounds like so many steps down the line before you get to the solution.
And then that's why you get all those like unhealing wounds and toes falling off for diabetics, because they have all this sugar floating around all in the body, and sugar is really bad for like bacteria and things. It just eats it up. So
so it's acting as a energy source for bacteria.
Yeah.
And then it prevents normal healing. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So when a patient has too much sugar in the blood, is that like, I assume there's a medical term for that, like hypergluco something because hyper meaning like high, glucose meaning sugar, and then I know if it ends in IA, it has to do with the blood, I assume.
Yeah.
But I'm
But I mean, you could have like hyperglycemia.
Okay.
Where it's high blood sugar. But I
guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes. But that's still fixable with just either insulin or fluids. As long as you have some insulin going in to where the body can use it and like it can go down, then you're good. But if the people that don't fix the high blood sugar, that it keeps spiking and there's nowhere for the sugar to go, that's where it gets to be a problem. That's where you get the diabetic ketoacidosis, and then you get even like more metabolic issues if it goes even higher than that. Then it's a whole disaster.
I find it so fascinating. I don't know. I think it's really cool to look at the body and just think of it as like a chain of events that you can interrupt or divert. I eventually down the line, I would love to do like, I kind of want to do hybrid episodes where I have like someone of a certain profession or knowledge sit down with another friend of mine from a different profession or knowledge, and then see like certain overlaps. Like I have a buddy of mine who's a medic in the military, and he like learned a lot of incredible treatments, but ones that he would be expected to apply out like in the field.
Yeah.
And like a lot more like jerry-rigging. He's
probably good
shit.
at like packing wounds and like stuff like that. But he probably uses that same like, their emergency is not my emergency.
Yes. Oh my God. Even more so probably, because at least you don't have bullets flying when you're trying to do that. At least I would hope.
No. Not typically.
Not typically. Yeah, I don't know. It's so fascinating, and it's cool too. Just like kind of being along for the ride with you, where like we've always been friends, but you've just acquired this really cool, like really impressive skill set in the meantime.
And I'm like such a baby too. Like it's so fun being like I'm not the smartest one in the room when I'm at work, and I
Right.
love it.
Yeah.
I learn so much at like 100 miles per hour, and I might not be that great at explaining it all, but
Putting it into practice.
I think it's so much fun teaching too.
Mhm.
I have so many students, and honestly, I've gotten really good feedback from them too, which makes me happy. Like, they'll like ask for me from their professors
that's
now,
awesome.
and I'm like, oh, I could cry.
That's amazing.
Like, what a dream. And I always tell them, like, you will not believe how much you will know
Yeah.
in like a month
Do you
of
feel
working.
Like, I know this is such a boy question. Do you feel like this is like super? Do you feel any sort of comfort knowing if we had the terrible apocalypse scenario play out, that you would have super useful knowledge to where if shit hit the fan and society crumbles and all that stuff, you have like this knowledge bank of I at least know on the basic level like how most of the body works and what most of the responses you can apply to it.
So this makes Dalton so mad.
Interesting.
So mad. I do not want to live through any apocalypse. Take me out. Let me go. I don't want to live in a world where I cannot go to the grocery store. I don't want to live in a world where I cannot take a bubble bath. I love a bubble bath. I'm like dreading being pregnant because I can't take a bubble bath. I don't want to live in a world where I have to fend for myself and be scared. No. Nope. Take me out. One bullet is all I need, baby. Take me out.
Oh my
And he's
God.
like, no, we would live through it all. We would make it. We watched The Walking Dead and all of that. And he's like, oh yeah, I'd be the last one to live. I'm like, no, I'd be the first one to go. Sayonara. There's zombies. I'm out. Out.
But you would help people. You'd be needed.
I would be dead. I would be dead. Goodbye.
I have one more thing I want to pick your brain on, and then we'll call it.
Okay.
But you've heard my other episodes. You know I'm a nerd about this stuff, and it's super interesting to me because again I'm not in the medical space, but I have heard that as AI continues to progress, that doctors will be replaced before nurses will, because doctors are much more of just like a knowledge bank and a decision maker, and nurses are the boots on the ground making it happen.
I could see that
aspect of things. Yeah, and that was going to be my question. Is like, do you think from your perspective, you could see why people say that?
I could definitely see that. Doctors go in for their initial assessment, see the patient, hardly listen to what they have to say. They usually get like a fraction of the story, and then the patient tells me most of it. I go relay it to them. They write a bunch of orders. I do the things. I might ask the doctor a couple more things, relay information, and then they're supposed to do a second check back if they're either discharging them or admitting them. And sometimes they don't even do that circle back. And
wow.
It frustrates me so bad because it's not in my scope to release results of scans, of lab work. I'm not supposed to interpret lab work.
Oh, okay. Even though
I
you
know
have
what
the
it all
skill
means.
set too.
Yeah, I know what it means. I know what diagnoses like. I mean, sometimes I don't. I don't know everything, but yeah, it bothers me. So I think that honestly, I think people would be not as angry if they weren't relying on a doctor to come see them.
Yeah, because I don't know. Have you? So you had mentioned you didn't use ChatGPT. Have you used it at all before?
No. So
You've
when
never used ChatGPT.
No, I never wanted to get in the habit of it because I would see people at school do it, and like I was saying before, it's hard to understand like what the nursing like process of like the brain. I don't know. There's like a whole thing that you have to like retrain your brain to think like a nurse, to go from like point A to B to C, whatever, and to connect the dots of like the whole picture.
Yeah.
And people would do it. And the few people that I do know that use ChatGPT in nursing school didn't pass. Like the final exam at the end. And I was like, honestly, don't feel bad for you.
Yeah, no, not at all. I think they're essentially outsourcing their thinking. But I just mean in terms of you have like no like experience even interfacing with it at all.
No, I don't even know how to access it. Like, do I go to Google to access it?
It's an app.
Like, oh, it's an app.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
yeah, when you did it on the podcast, that was my first experience with it, and I was like, "Wow, this thing is smart."
I think you should start getting used to using it.
But have you read the book I, Robot?
Read the book of iRobot? No.
You should.
Just in terms of like AI going bad.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually kind of my point. Is I think so. ChatGPT is essentially just a chatbot. You talk back and forth with it borderline conversationally, but it is trained on so much data that your brain can't fathom. And it can spit back, for the most part, it's continuously getting better, accurate, like knowledge on pretty much anything. You remember texting Cha-Cha?
Yeah.
Did you ever do that? Yeah. It's like that, but
I think I still
way
know the
more
number.
advanced. Yeah, I think it was like
242-242.
Yeah, something like that.
Cha-Cha. But it was a real person,
It was a real person, but it was essentially a person with Google.
Yeah.
And then they would Google it for you, and then they'd get back to you. This is essentially the same type of experience. The reason that I think that you should start using it is because everything is going to start being like this. Like, you're already seeing companies who use their websites, and they have AI agents that you talk to help with the website. So if you're like on CarMax's website, I don't know if they use it, but just as an example, if you're on CarMax's website and you're like, hey, I'm trying to figure out how to get a quote on my trade-in, you can type that into their AI chatbot and it will conversate with you like a person, but it has all the knowledge accurately.
I should have made ChatGPT plan my wedding.
It would have. And then you could have tweaked it any way you wanted to. You should treat it like a personal assistant, not like a homework cheating tool.
Yeah.
But the reason I say
I feel like that's what I thought of it as.
Yeah, it's so much bigger than that. It's like, yeah, it's a super powerful AI agent that also can help you cheat on your homework.
People would like turn in whole papers done by ChatGPT and get kicked out of nursing school. So I feel like
as they should.
I've been trained to be like, no.
Yeah, no, I'm talking to Chloe, my friend, not Chloe the nurse.
I know. I follow so many rules. I need to not be a narc.
I don't think being a narc applies to this.
I really am, though. It's ingrained in me.
But the reason I say that is because essentially, if things continue, you will start working with AI at your job eventually, and you'll want some sort of experience prior, rather than that being your initial experience. But like essentially, because everything you've told me that you have to do with the doctor, or that the doctor does, I can see ChatGPT just being able to do.
And they really follow just a formula.
Exactly. And if you just train it on that data to make it as accurate as possible so that it knows the proper responses to the proper prompts, then you will essentially just need to rely on that. And
it would probably be faster.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, that would essentially get rid of the bottleneck on supply of doctors. Yeah. And then like you could still have doctors that like oversee entire areas, but you would need less people and you'd be able to.
But there's certain doctors you can't replace.
Yeah, like it depends. Like I guess it just depends on what you mean.
Like obstetrics.
In normal people terms?
Delivering a baby.
Yes, I agree.
That's the only one I can think of, really.
Yeah, I think stuff like that is much more based on the robotics world than it is like data-based AI.
But most symptoms can just be like put into a, like, that's basically all they do.
It's just data.
They collect symptoms, lab values, vital signs, subjective data, and then it spits out a diagnosis.
Yeah.
And then it gives you interventions. And then we give them, see if it works. And then we start from there again.
Yeah, because essentially what you could have is a AI that is plugged into your system, so when you get lab results, they get immediately sent into the agent.
Yeah, so it's just collecting as it goes.
Yeah, and then it would know, oh, immediately we have
fun.
these options. You need to apply this or whatever. And then if you get back to it and it's like, that didn't work or that did slightly, and it goes, okay, that narrows it down to these options. Try this. And the only difference is, and like you got to hear it a little bit on
probably
the
be safer.
episode. Well, also like the doctor's time isn't limited anymore. Like the person can sit there and talk to them and ask as many questions as they want.
Right,
and
right.
It would be able to output conversational answers based off of their lab results. And then if that person, let's say like you keep a file on it, on that patient, if that patient wanted to call later from home, they could just speak directly to the doctor, quote unquote. And like, oh, I'm starting to have shortness of breath again. And that AI has all of the data from the lab results and all of the diagnoses and goes, okay, then you need to immediately come back in or just take the medicine that I gave you and stay there. But that would
be nice.
Yeah, because you do the hands-on stuff. Like
but I'm telling you, no AI robot's going to be wiping no butts.
No, not anytime soon.
Hopefully. I hope for that. But
I'll have to show you some stuff. There's really cool progress being made on those fronts that I think you would find super interesting in terms of.
I wonder if doctors are like shaking in their boots.
Dude, like software engineers are on the way out.
Oh,
it's crazy.
What do they do?
What do you mean? They gotta learn to weld or something. There was a.
Why don't we deport AI?
Deport AI.
Yeah, they're stealing jobs.
Gonna deport refrigerators because ice makers are no longer a thing.
Oh man,
but
I love refrigeration. Gosh, you don't know how thankful you are for it when your electricity goes out for a few days.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh,
you guys had that little stint. Yeah, I there was a whole thing back in the day when journalists were really under fire because of the whole like media, Trump, fake news, that whole thing. And I don't think Trump gets the sole credit for starting the anti-media movement. I just think he's a very good catalyst for a lot of hot topics. But amongst that time, journalists were getting laid off because media outlets were downsizing because they weren't as successful, because they weren't doing a good job. And journalists were basically saying like, what the fuck do I do? I'm shit out of luck out of a job and I went to school for this. And everyone's like jab at them was like, oh, learn to code. Like, go learn to code. Like, you need to figure it out because now, like the new wave of jobs are coming around, and if you want to keep up, it was the same thing that they would say to like truck drivers about like self-driving cars, like, oh, learn to code. But funny enough, before journalists, before doctors, before truck drivers are getting replaced, coders are getting replaced by AI because it's that good.
That's crazy. There's so many jobs in that too. Like,
dude. And
what do people do?
People think, from what I've heard, the leading companies right now are saying that mid-level engineers will be replaceable by like the end of this year. And that's not even just like entry-level jobs, but like mid-level. And so from there, it's just a matter of like, what does it apply to? If you deal with data, then you are probably first on the chopping block. But I don't know.
Scary.
It's a whole different topic. But I do think that you plan on having a long career in nursing, I assume.
Yeah. I think I want to like end in teaching, but then you guys were talking about, oh my gosh, there's no need for teachers. I'm like, well, damn.
I don't think.
Where am I going to retire?
Don't quote me that way. I don't think that there's no need for teachers. I think I think that it will just be another thing that gets
like fine. If you like AI more, then
by
go.
But
I don't want to teach you anyway.
But no, I think you'll just eventually you'll eventually start working with it.
I could think of a few doctors that I could live without,
Yeah.
and I would not be mad at it.
Our
like door to like care time would be faster too,
I can imagine,
because we wouldn't be waiting on doctors' orders. Because a lot of times I can't do anything until I have orders. I'm just connecting you to the monitor, and I'm like, okay, you look like crap. That's about it. That's all I know.
Right. Yeah, I think I don't know. It'll definitely be interesting. I have no idea where we're headed, but
It would be interesting.
yeah.
They would have to be expensive, right? Like AI doctors.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Like, I don't know.
It would probably be really cheap.
Really? You think cheaper?
Yes, I think it would bring costs down significantly because you're not paying doctors.
Yeah. Doctors get paid so much.
Yeah.
Like so much. It's ridiculous.
I remember thinking doctors made like $100,000 when I was a kid. And I was like, no, it's multiple.
Yeah. I like kind of know how much the doctors that I work with make, and it makes you like want to stab them in the hand with like a fork for not going to like actually take the time to
Like deal
speak
with
to their
people.
patients, you know? Or like brushing me off when I ask for something. I'm like,
Mhm.
you little shit.
Yeah, spoiled.
Yeah. Some of them are really nice.
Mhm.
Some of them I really like, and I enjoy working with them. But
Would you be happier? Well, all right, actually, I don't know. I'm figuring out how I'm framing this question. Would you be happy if you lost your job to AI, but the medical system overall improved drastically because of it? Would that be a worthy trade-off to you?
am I poor in this scenario?
I don't know.
I don't want to be poor. Well, I guess I don't really have a choice.
I think
if
you
they're
would
better
still-
than me.
I think you would still have a like somewhere to go for like teaching. I do think that would be
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
always vital. But
I would probably. I feel like ER nurse would be replaced faster than. I don't know, like a baby nurse, because I kind of think I want to deliver babies at some point.
that's really cool.
L&D sounds fun, but I wanted to get comfortable in traumas first before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think I mean, I like to lay down. I would love to lay down.
I would love to lay down like a lot more.
Like a lot more. But
You and Rachel, birds of a feather.
but somehow I'm marrying even a bigger homebody than me. So I don't know how I did that.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know. I mean, as long as I'm not poor, I'd be all right
Mm-hmm.
at home. I
Yeah.
might be bored.
Right.
I don't have hobbies really.
I think
So-
people. I think it's in our nature to always find work.
yeah, I would need to find something like.
I don't know. Maybe you'd feel differently as a mother. Then you'd like be able
Yeah.
to devote your entire time or life.
Well,
to
that was kind of
kids.
why I wanted to do nursing in general, because then I can only work 3 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of get best of both worlds. Like, oh my gosh, I can be like financially stable, work 3 days a week, and then be home with children for the other 4.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of nice because I pick my own schedule. So sometimes I'll work like beginning of the week and then end of the week the next time. So I'll have like 6 or 7 days between, which is like a dream.
A little vacation.
Yeah, I love it.
I am just happy that you are getting free time.
Yeah,
You have deserved free time and have missed out
on a
on a lot.
Yeah.
And so
My
like,
early 20s were like grind time.
yeah, dude.
grind time. Like, I put so much effort into it, and
You fucking made it.
well, we're trying.
Yeah.
We're trying.
I just like, I've remembered like as the years have gone by, every time like that, not to say that you never got to go to do things, but every time that you did, every time that you did miss out, I would just be like, just wait, Chloe, like you'll get to go to all the stuff later.
Longer. I know. And it's so great. I love having free time. At first it was kind of hard because just being home and like laying on the couch, I'm like, I feel like I should be doing something.
Felt guilty.
Yeah, I felt like I should be doing something. I felt like I should be cleaning or something.
Studying.
At first, when I first graduated, I think I read like 5 books in like, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks. Like, I just like was like, I don't know. I feel like I should be doing something.
Oh,
yeah.
God. I wish that I could just inject that mindset.
Reading books?
No, just like,
Oh.
like the immense guilt for lack of being productive. If
Yeah.
Rachel listens to this, she'll be yelling at her car if that's where she's listening to her, because I am like that, but not enough in my opinion.
Not
I don't
enough.
feel
Well,
guilty
now
enough.
I have a easier time relaxing. I can definitely have a day where I lay down. Dalton's going to be shaking his head no. But I can relax a lot more than I used to. It's just I do have a tendency to like wake up at 8 a.m., like do the dishes and like vacuum and then lay down.
Oh no.
I
I'm so
know.
sorry
But
for you.
there's sometimes that I do it. I have a relaxing day. I watch the Twilight movies and do nothing. It's great.
Yeah, Rachel has gotten me better at doing nothing. The other day we watched 3 movies, which is like
good.
a lot for me.
Yeah.
I know like certain people look at that and go, ugh, like what are you doing with your life? And other people look at that and go, only 3 movies.
But you need rest.
Yeah.
You do. You need rest. It feels really good to rest. And I think working 3 days a week it sounds really great, but then you realize how hard the work is doing 12-hour shifts.
Yeah.
So like sometimes the day after my shifts, especially if I do 3 in a row, I pretty much want to be like
a potato.
Yeah, potato. I just want to just be one with the bed.
One with the bed. Instead of Buddha, you're like Beta.
Yeah, Beta. And I need snacks. I need a lot of snacks.
The closest I've ever gotten to experiencing something like that was when at my previous job, I worked at a warehouse, and we had a grind time moment where it was like for 2 months we had to work 5/12s, and
5/12s is insane.
I couldn't do anything on the weekends.
No.
Like I would work from 4 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Monday through Friday, and then Saturday I literally
You can't be a human.
just sat on my phone, and then Sunday maybe I'd go outside.
Yeah.
And then Monday came around and I'd do it again.
Yeah.
And it was gnarly.
Yeah.
And even now I do 410s, and if it's a
4
win.
10s is a lot.
It's a win if I am productive after my shift.
Yeah.
Like I'll beat myself up when I'm not.
There's no shot for me, really.
Yeah, oh my God. Especially with the line of work you do. Like I sit at a desk. Like
There's sometimes where like I'll be in like the little urgent care spot where I'm kind of just like putting an IV in, giving a med. Like I'm just like kind of chilling. I'm not doing anything crazy, using my brain a whole lot. That I can handle.
Are you on your feet a lot?
Yeah. Yeah, there's like this little section where it's like more of like the urgent care where people come in like, I have urinary retention, I just need a catheter real quick, or I have a headache, I need
Advil.
Like, yeah, it's so dumb. My toe hurts.
Yeah.
I'm like, go home. Literally go home.
Why are you in the ER?
Why are you here? Do you know how much it is to be here?
Yeah.
When you get this bill, you're gonna be really upset that you didn't just take Advil at home. But yeah, those days I can like kind of be productive, but not really, not much. I usually am just like preparing food for the next day, showering, and night.
Yeah. Preparing food alone for the next day
takes
a win.
A while. Yeah.
That's being productive in my book.
I like to meal prep at least at least like a day or two of food.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I'll just figure it out for the other day.
Yeah. Gotta eat out every so often.
I don't even eat out at work either. It's more so like I'll just pack something so random. Just like...
Like an Uncrustable?
Yeah. Yeah, like literally. I just don't have time because we only get 30-minute breaks, and then sometimes we don't get lunches at all.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, hey, can you watch my patients for 15 minutes while I scarf down this half a sandwich real
Yeah.
quick?
My God.
Sometimes
You're doing it, though.
we are. We are. But I love it. Just sometimes I'm like, did I make the right choice? When I'm working this hard.
Yeah.
But
All right. Well, I think we covered a lot.
I know. I'm like, what time is it?
8. Do you have any final notes or anything you want to say on the air before we call it?
Get your blood pressure checked and take your blood pressure medicine.
All you youngins.
Yeah. Don't eat so much salt. Drink water.
Joel?
Do some exercise.
I hear that's the most important one, if not
Yeah.
number one. So
I know. Well, we harp on it a lot, diet and exercise, but people don't be listening.
Mm-mm. And then they're 60.
I know. Well, no, not even that. They're like 35 and come in and have a heart attack, and I'm like,
Oh my God.
well, we'll fix ya.
To the best of our ability.
Mechanic Chloe here to save the day.
Mechanic Chloe. Okay. All right. Well.
Night, night.
Yeah, we're calling it 2 hours.
Wow,
Fantastic.
really?
2 hours and 9 minutes right now.
I will not be listening to myself talk for 2 hours.
You've listened to every other episode. You are in the clear to skip one.
If you guys listen this far, thanks. I hope you don't hate me.
The perfect way to wrap it up. Oh my God. Okay. All right. Fantastic. I can't beat that. Bye, guys. Thank you for listening. Until next time.